Elise Beavis, you're a performance engineer with Emirates Team New Zealand. I see you every day out on the chase boat. It's a regular thing. Tell us a bit about that role first of all. What exactly are you doing as a performance engineer?
Yeah, so I guess there's a few sides to my role. So part of it is when we're sailing in the simulator, I'm involved with sort of creating the models for that, changing the conditions and stuff, looking into the data that's produced through that. And then when we're sailing in the real world, it's similar, looking at data live. I'm also looking at the wind triangle when we're on the water and sometimes making some tweaks to that. And then once we come in, going back and looking at the data, seeing, you know, how our tacks are going, how our jibes are going, are we doing stuff different between tacks, are we doing better than we used to, etc.
And you can see that live in the data?
Yeah, we've got, I mean, there's so much data coming off the boat live to look at, but then, yeah, you can really dive into it a bit more afterwards at a desk, bigger screen, etc.
You mentioned the wind triangle there. I think I know what you mean, but just tell me. Yeah,
so on the AC75, same on the 40s, we've got these wind gears at the front of the boat, the cups that spin round and say what apparent wind speed it's measuring, and then you've got the wind vane giving a direction. So we then do a little calibration on that because those numbers aren't perfect, and then we do calibration due to the presence of the yacht. So we have what's called upwash. So because we've got this boat and these big sails producing lift, and that wind gear's not that far away, a bit further than with the 40, we need some correction for the impact of the boat being there. And then so that's one side of the triangle. Another side is how fast is the boat going and what direction, and then from that we can work out what the last side is, and that's our true wind speed, true wind direction.
I was completely wrong. I didn't know what the wind triangle was, so I'm glad you've explained that. Now tell me, this is an old generation AC75. What can you learn as a performance engineer that contributes to the new boat? What can you learn from these boats watching them?
Yeah, so part of being up in Barcelona this year is sailing an AC75 in the conditions that, you know, we expect to see next year. It's particularly interesting at the moment, being October, so really the best guess at what we'll see next year. So we can test more new components on the 40s. We can't change much on this boat. We can't change the underside, we can't change the foils. We can do some tweaks to the sails, but no new ones. So we can't develop a huge amount in that area, but we can learn about the conditions, because obviously being bigger, you know, the foils and stuff are all bigger, and as the waves get bigger, it can deal with it better than the AC40.
We've seen some very different conditions in the time that we've been doing recon with you guys here. Yesterday, for example, very, very lumpy. Today, really quite flat, and a decent breeze. How different is the data that's coming off the boat in those conditions?
Yeah, it can be quite different, especially the waves today were quite skewed to the wind, so that can, and it's not something that we really see at home in Auckland, so part of what's valuable being up here, and that can really make some quite big differences between tacks. I mean, just like, you know, if you're in a laser dinghy or something and you've got some old waves pushing you forward upwind, you get some really good performance, so yeah, we do see differences with that.
Lucas Calabrese, helmsman on New York Yacht Club American Magic, challenger of the 37th America's Cup. Today, Lucas, you were on starboard tack on Magic, yes? Could you please summarize the day for us?
Yeah, conditions were much better than I expected personally. It was supposed to be pretty light, but we got up to probably 11-12 knots of breeze at one point. So we started quite light and the breeze got up nicely, so we had a bunch of stuff done, and yeah, it was just a great testing day.
So another day of foil testing today. How different is it when you have these conditions in which you have the swell from the northeast combined with a southwesterly breeze? Can you still steer the boat the same way? Do you still have all the modes you can play with usually, or it changes a lot?
It's actually really hard. It was a really challenging day in that respect. Mostly because the waves were quite short, but you know, like you said, they weren't aligned with the breeze, so it was offset it. So it was making our job really, really hard, but you know, we spent most of the day trying to figure out how to do it better, so it was a good learning day.
Then going into the foils, for this week the foils on America were switched from port tack into starboard and from starboard into port, if we are correct. Did you feel any differences compared to America today?
We like to do that in case, you know, we have offset waves, like you said, so we like to have the ability to feel how the foils feel, basically, with the waves in every direction. And yeah, we find subtle differences, but also a lot was on the technique, and the wind was quite unstable. So, you know, we have to sit down, look at the data, and see what really was better out there. Where, to be honest, I'm not super sure.
So from our eyes, it looks like Magic today was a lot more consistent. America was falling sometimes from the foils and nose diving, and especially when it comes to racing mode in which you have boundaries and you're forced to tack and to jive, it looks like the foils on Magic are a little bit more reliable and there's more margin for mistake. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Again, we have to go look at the data, look at if the guys that were sailing on America were doing the exact same techniques as we were, and see what comes out of that, and then make a conclusion.
Would you agree that the difference comparing Magic to America is a little bit bigger whenever it's lighter? When you were sailing with the J1 than when you were with the J2?
It's possible. Like, more forgiving foils generally are better in lighter air, and they're slower when you're going at a faster boat speed, so it's possible. But like I said, like, it would be hard to make a straight estimate of what